What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Good Success Podcast. I am your host, Josh Culler, and today we've got a special guest on the show with us. His name is Chris Prefontaine, and I got that right, Chris?
You almost 100% Prefontaine.
Okay, so it was like 98%ish. So, so Chris is actually, this is going to be fun because I love Chris's accent. I've never interviewed somebody that has a Northeastern accent. Chris is from Rhode Island, and he's got a lot of fantastic products that I'm going to have him talk about. And I'll come back around to introducing him. We actually got hooked up through a website, I believe, that somebody kind of hooked us up with, that you're looking to be on other people's podcasts. And I think we have some mutual friends as well. I looked on your website and I saw that you had interviewed Quincy Long for one of your podcasts. Quincy is a super close friend of ours. He actually just joined our Good Success Mastermind that we have. And then we actually interviewed him. We're going to be airing him. I think actually a couple of weeks ago, we had him aired on Facebook Live. And so
that's cool. He's speaking at our event, actually. That's cool.
Awesome. And we're going to have you talk about that. So, make sure you guys pay attention. Everything that we're going to be talking about with Chris's profiles and then also his websites and everything, we're going to be having it linked below as he's talking about it. So there's a lot of stuff that he's got. This guy's got it together. You guys are going to be super excited to hear everything that he has to say today. But before that, we're going to talk a little bit about Good Success products. So we do have our Community Go Giver event coming in hot. Like, we're a couple weeks away, and it is very exciting. We got a lot of signups, a lot of great speakers. Quincy's actually going to be speaking at that event for us, the Community Go Giver event in July 25, 26, 27. Kevin's going to be on the links. It's going to be linked below, communitygogiver.com. Sign up now. Seats are running out extremely fast. So you guys sign up for it. We're going to be having Walter Wofford with the Financial Friends Network. Quincy Long is going to be there. Jim Ingersoll. Eddie Wilson, Josh Bell, Sean Waddle, Gary Harper. Is just going to be a super stacked lineup. We're very excited about it. Obviously, President of Good Success, Tom Olson, is going to be speaking as well. And it's all about impacting your guys' community. Normally, I have Tom talk about it a little bit, but you guys find out more information at the website below, communitygogiver.com. And then we also have our Good Success Mastermind that we are very excited about. The next event is going to be August 9 through 11, and it is going to be local to us. So in our backyard at a country club called Innsbrook in Maryville, Indiana. So if you guys are interested, make sure you go sign up below, goodsuccess.com/mastermind. It's where we bring in elite real estate investors from across the country into one room. They collaborate and try to grow their businesses. And we've gotten nothing but amazing feedback from that. And we're very excited. We have a very, very tight-knit community that's in there, and a lot of really key players that are in there as well. So we're very excited about that. August 9 through 11, goodsuccess.com/mastermind. Guys, go check it out. And if you are watching Facebook Live, we appreciate you guys joining us right now. Make sure you're giving a big thumbs up to all these comments that we're leaving here, and then leave comments below. Share this around. We got to get this around the horn for you guys. And then if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the Good Success Podcast. We're on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. We'll have those linked below as well for you guys to check it out. Lots of links, so make sure you guys go check them out. So without further ado, Chris, I'm going to be looking here at you while we're talking, but I got a camera right here for my sake. But
sure.
So we got Chris Prefontaine, right?
That's it.
I got it. Bingo. So Chris, I'm going to allow him to actually talk about his stuff and he's just got so much stuff out there, guys, and it's amazing. I actually have his website pulled up right now. Looks like it is going to be smartrealestatecoach.com. I know he's got a couple other websites, but that's where you're going to find him. So he looks like he has a great coaching program. He's got a book out, which I think, Chris, is free. Is that right?
I emailed you this morning saying I'll give it to your listeners. It's on Amazon for like 20-something bucks, a bestseller. But anyone that wants it from your database, just email me personally. I'll send you a copy. No shipping, no nothing.
That's amazing. That's fantastic. So you guys are getting an exclusive offer right now. So make sure you guys go check it out. Chris, what's the email we want to email you for?
Just send it to Chris, CHRIS, at smartrealestatecoach.com.
Awesome. So Kevin's going to link that below. Chris, introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, how long you've been doing it.
Sure. So I'll give you like a 10,000-foot view. I started in real estate. I'm going to date myself here, 1991-ish, building some single families. We just spot built in different neighborhoods. In other words, no subdivisions at the outstart of that. In 95-ish, I bought a Realty Executives franchise. So broker owner, from going from builder to broker owner is different because as a builder, you usually don't want to deal with realtors. Mm-hmm. And so then I became a realtor. Built that. The goal was to build that and sell it. We did it. We built that, sold it in 2000 to Coldwell Banker. And then in 2000, we started doing rehabs, condo conversions, The market was supporting that at the time. Started coaching real estate people around US and Canada, actually. Had around 50 clients. That was our foray into coaching. And then after the debacle in '08, we were forced to re-engineer absolutely everything to what we have today. We run a family company out of Newport, Rhode Island. It's a tiny 3-town island in Rhode Island. And it's my wife and I, my son Nick, my son-in-law Zach, and my daughter Kayla, and a great support staff. We do, Josh, around 4 homes a month here. And then we help our students and our associates around the country do more. So total, we do about 5 or 10 homes a month, every single month.
Is that fix and flips or wholesales or?
Yeah, so we buy everything on terms, which is when I said we re-engineered it. Why? Well, the debacle taught a lot of people a lot of lessons, but it was don't sign on personal with debt. Don't pledge assets. Do not use your credit, and don't use cash. So we don't. We buy all those homes on terms, never touching any of that. So we buy lease purchase, owner financing, and subject to. That's the only 3 ways we buy.
Gotcha.
And then we have, of course, the coaching that you alluded to. So those are the 2 companies that we run out of here, all family.
Gotcha. So talk a little bit about your products. I know you kind of like eased off of it, but what you got, tell us about the book. I know that one of my questions here is like, what does real estate on your terms actually mean? That's the name of your book.
Yeah.
So maybe you can go into that and kind of segue from the book to the rest of the products that you have. Tell us a little bit about your coaching program. We'd love to hear about that and what you actually teach when you're.
Sure. So I'll kind of go in order. That'll make sense. So the book is Real Estate on Your Terms. It teaches you how to create 3 paydays per deal. That's key. So that's part of what we do. And what does on your terms mean? It means what I just alluded to. It means buying them without your cash, without your credit, and without getting, intertwined with banks. So every property we have, and we can get into details later, does not have us on it personally. And it's very, very pointedly done like that since that crash. So the book goes into that. The book goes into my 2008 story. The book goes into what can go wrong. I think there's too many programs and mentors out there, and you know this yourself, that don't tell you that. It's all the fluff and all the fun stuff. Well, stuff happens. So I did a whole chapter on that to some people's criticism, because I just let it out. Here's what's going to go on. We're pretty blunt with it.
Yeah.
Then we give a bunch of deal structure things in there, actual deals, because they're all different. So we want to make sure we put all that stuff in there. So the book's pretty cool. It gives you enough to kind of understand, is this something I'd want to do? Then we have a free webinar, which we'll offer to all your viewers. It's 70 minutes. So if they can put up with me for another 70 minutes, it's a lot of content. At the end of that, if they say, well, that's cool, it's something I probably could see myself doing, there's a home video program. Once you buy it, and this is just a new development for us because it was a continuity charge before. Now, once you buy it, you go on the Smart Real Estate Coach Academy, and you own the platform. So you're going to go through 60 plus videos and all kinds of PDFs and audios and live calls. And that's literally A through Z on what we did to build this business. A to Z. They can be in real estate and want to tweak things, or they can be cold to real estate and start from scratch. That's what the home video program is.
Awesome.
And then you mentioned coaching. So you notice there's a pretty streamlined funnel, so to speak. There's no fluff in that. It's someone that really wants to do deals is going to go through those 2 steps, and then they can apply, application only, to be an associate. We used to call them JV partners. So these are people that we lock arms with and do deals with all around the country.
Gotcha. So they're actually in the trenches with you when you guys are making stuff happen. So
we call their sellers with them. We call their buyers with them until they can fly on their own. And then there's a point, obviously, where we cap out. They don't want us for life in their business,
Right. So talk a little bit more about your book. So Real Estate on Your Terms. I know that you talked about like what your terms actually means, but what can people actually learn from the book and find in there that's going to help them elevate their real estate game in the end? So is it geared towards people that are just getting into real estate, or people that have already been in it, or everything?
Yeah, it's a good question. No one's drilled down in the book like that. So it's good because if you're brand new, it's a bit of a drink with a fire hose, but it's okay. They'll get by with it, because I'm going to bring them just like the course does, but in a shorter form. I'm going to bring them from here's how, after I tell them about the debacle, here's how we start the business. Here's how we set it up. Here's how we buy. Here's how we structure deals.
Okay.
If they're already in the business, frankly, it'll be a fast read, because I had never done terms deals. I did a lot of real estate, probably 70 million before I did terms, but I never honed in on terms. So if they're doing flips, wholesales, anything, it'll resonate real well with them. because remember I said 3 paydays earlier? The whole book is about, let's create some cash today. That fixes a lot of stuff, right? Let's create monthly cash flow, and let's create some wealth at the same time. That's what these deals do, every single one of them, with very few exceptions. So it's pretty cool for both. Long answer to your good question.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it sounds like a lot of that last part of what you said has a lot to do with financial freedom. So one of the topics that you actually had suggested when we were emailing back and forth talking about what we're going to talk about on the podcast was financial freedom. So as a real estate investor, you don't hear a lot of people, because even with us, we have, all these real estate professionals that are in our mastermind and everything. And then also just the networks that we're part of, Quincy Long, he has an amazing network, and we're on his Financial Friends Network cruise and all the events that Quincy hosts and all that kind of stuff. And it seems like financial freedom, that term is really hard to come by when you're a real estate investor, when you're actually doing flips, when you're actually doing wholesale deals and stuff like that. It doesn't seem as common as you might think it would. So as a real estate investor, how does somebody find financial freedom when it comes down to it?
Sure. And you said some cool things and important things, because, and then I'll go into it, because and this is no offense to the wholesalers and the flippers and everyone else out there, right? Everybody has their thing.
No, absolutely.
If they're not scaling in a big way with a team and automation, the wholesaling and the flipping, it's more of a job at the beginning for the average person,
right?
Doing onesie twosies. When you look at what we're doing, the reason financial wealth comes up is one deal. The average of those 3 paydays is $75,000, and about half of that is the back end wealth piece. So you literally can parlay, let's say, a dozen of these. We've got 50 or 60 at any one time, but you can parlay like a dozen of these and have $500,000 or something, or $1 million if you're in a different market, put out there 1, 2, 3 year maturities, 4 years, 5 years. So you have this schedule. I mean, you can literally at some point, 12 deals, 18, whenever you want. That's not a lot of time. Get off the treadmill and take 6 months off. And that's different than most models until they're scaled. Does that make sense? So this allows you to scale at your own pace.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that's one thing that the president of Good Success, Tom Olson, he's very passionate about, is financial freedom. He actually has a Facebook group that's Good Success Financial Freedom that he posts on a lot. And that's like a really big thing for them. I mean, we're a part of a mastermind called High Speed Alliance with Forrest Bryant. And that's what it's all about, is creating financial freedom for people. And so that's a really big topic when it comes down to actual,
there is.
Maybe not just real estate investing in general, but like actual wholesalers, actual fix and flippers, but just the whole thought of real estate investing in general. Even if you're just into real estate, that also has a lot to do with it too. So that's fantastic. So real quick, something that I didn't really plan to ask, can you tell us a little bit about, so you're in Rhode Island. Do you only do deals in Rhode Island, or are you pretty widespread, or like, in addition to that, what does your market actually look like? Because it sounds like you got a really good market up there.
It's a decent market, but here are the nuances. That's why your questions are spot on, because Rhode Island's tiny. It's the smallest state in the country. Mm-hmm. And on top of that being the case, we are on that island I told you, in Rhode Island. So there's very little deals on island here. In fact, we probably have done 3 in 5 or 6 years. It's very transient. It's international for sailing, and it's a lot of people. The property's going like this. A lot of vacationers. So we got to go outside that. So we started in Rhode Island, and then we went to Massachusetts, just because that's where I was from, and that's where I built and I had connections. And then my wife had said about 2 years ago, I think maybe 3, why don't you look at Connecticut? It's not that far. That's our tri-state. Right. Connecticut to date is 50% of our volume now. So we do those 3 states as a family company, buying and selling.
Gotcha.
And outside of that, kind of a parlay to that question, now we have the associates in a lot of different states. We have about 20, maybe 30 now, 32 associates around the country. Yeah. So we have a lot of states.
So you talked about you have associates, I think you said, in Canada, right?
Not yet. That's 2019.
2019. Okay, so we're not gonna unveil that yet.
Not yet.
Yeah. So then also, in addition to that, you talked about your family and how you have a family in your business. A lot of the mastermind members for us actually have family working in their business, including our company. The problem with that, though, is that there can be baggage with that, right? So what is your experience? And I know it's per family. Like, some families just work better than other families. And I'm not going to, we're not going to call anybody out, but there are people out there that have family-owned businesses that always bring these issues to the mastermind, and like, I don't know what to do. Like, I got a brother that works for me, and he's slacking, and he's been slacking. Like, what do I do about that? So with your experience in a family-owned business, how does it work for you? And when problems surface, without putting you on the spot here.
You're good. This is good.
Where do you go?
Good topic. So a couple things, you hit all kinds of hot buttons there. So I agree with you wholeheartedly. So it's got to be done right. We've got a couple unique situations, and then I'll talk more general about how I think people can mirror this. So each of us has a different role in the company, which is unique. And it wasn't, preordained. We grew it organically, kind of on accident. So my son came in first and started working with buyers. He loved it. And then my son-in-law came in and started working with sellers and replaced me in the buying and selling. Then my daughter runs the whole thing as general manager. And each of us really don't love the other roles, so there's no cross there.
Gotcha.
As far as, scaling and problems and all that you said, we've got a core value system set up, and one of the 6 core values is the fact that we are open and blunt communication. There's no gray area, and it's the best way to, in our opinion, to do that. Yeah. And I'll tell you what I think everyone could do, and this would be great for your people that have families too, everyone, but families in particular.
Yeah.
And I'll give them a little plug here. I belong to Elite Forum. You might be familiar with them. It was Clayt, the founder of Infusionsoft.
Okay.
Customers of theirs kept calling them and say, how do you guys grow like that? How do you have the culture you do? It's a really cool culture, like glue for family. Mm-hmm. And they started teaching it. This is like 10 years ago. Now the guy that started teaching those forums to help scale and create culture and family, he does it on his own now. It's just called Elite Forum. And we meet quarterly. They're all business owners like you talk about. You're a big advocate, It sounds like. And they teach you the values, the culture, the communication, something that a lot of entrepreneurs don't have, especially the single investor. They're not used to that. So again, a long answer, but it's kind of like a leadership issue. Really.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if that makes sense to you.
Yeah. So you talked a little bit about your core values there. Is open communication is one of those things that you absolutely have to do. So with our company, we're actually on an EOS, so Entrepreneur Operating System, that we operate with for the actual business, like not just Good Success, but Olson Group and our property management company, construction management company, and then the buy and sell company and all that stuff. So we have core values throughout the entire company that covers all of the companies that we have. So I understand why it's important to have core values. I understand, we hire and fire off of them. Any annual reviews are based off of the core values that we have. For you, why is it so important to have core values? And then in addition to that, how does somebody come about to actually find and kind of discover the core values? Because that's a common thread as well, is that people just have a really hard time with their core values. And then in addition to that, sticking to those core values if they have them. Like we ask them, do you hire and fire off them? No, I feel like, they're the person that I'm wanting to let go. They're good with 3 of them, but then, so you get what I'm asking here. So why is it important to have the core values? And then how do you even discover to find the core values?
Well, okay, so there's a few different answers in no priority order. Without that value box, let's say, right, the 6 for us, some people have 5, 8. Everything you do, there's no synergy, there's no direction, there's no laser focus. Opposed to what you said, you've mentioned hiring and firing, but if every decision you make, time management, appointment-wise, and big stuff, is all based around that core value box, there's no ambiguity. So again, you go back to the blunt communication too, right? Everything's simple. Why is it important, or how rather to build that and develop that? I can't take credit for it. It's not like I created it here. Without Elite Forum, I'd be lost. There's some really cool books that help with it. You're probably aware of them. Scaling Up is a great one. Mm-hmm. I've heard a lot of people talk about Traction. I haven't read it. They focused on that method, but they're all great as long as you stick with something, right?
Right.
So I revisit it quarterly with this group. I fly across the country to do it because it is an exercise. It takes work, and then you come back and you engage the team, the family in my case, to do the exact same thing. And we meet offsite quarterly and spend a whole day on it. Mm-hmm. I think it's important. So for the single person that's an investor saying, well, I don't need that yet. Yeah, but it's really cool if you learn it now, and you will want to not only know how to, but want to scale. And that's what it's all about, I think.
Yeah. So I agree with that too, because we come across a lot of people that are solopreneurs that have their business and they're doing everything on their own right now. And they just say that they don't need core values. But at the end of the day, like if like all all your marketing just unleashed and then you got all this business and now you got to hire people, now you're stuck because you don't have core values. And there's that vulnerability of hiring somebody that's not going to fit what you actually want them to be a part of. So I completely agree with that. And that is a big issue too with people that are solopreneurs. And it's also, I think that, and I don't know if you do this, but for our company, we have contractors for our construction management team that aren't actual employees of the company, but we still hire them based on the actual core values that we have, because they're still an extension of us, because Olson Construction Management's the brand that's actually flipping the house. And if these contractors are giving a bad rap because they did a bad job or they treated a customer wrongly or whatever it is, a neighbor, doesn't matter. It's going to come back on Olson Construction Management. And that's ultimately that's going to hurt.
Okay, so this is cool because we do the same thing. So, but even I think it's more extreme. So some people that are out selling or speaking, do all these preview events. We don't do all that, but this will blow their mind, I think. Yeah. People apply for the associate level. And, these are people that got to be serious about doing deals, because every deal is worth $75,000. It's a big deal to learn it and understand it and scale it. So we base our decision on accepting someone that's going to pay us. So most people say, well, just who do you care? Just have them come in. They have to fit within that value system, number one. Number two, they've got to speak to every single one of our family members. And if we're all good with it, then we say, great, let's accept them. This is going to be a fun relationship, not just plowing them through a system.
Wow. Yeah. So that's awesome. So you really lean back on those core values, and I love it. That's awesome.
100%. And I can't tell you I always did, just so you know. I mean, we started this. I started focusing on terms. You and I both know this has been around for decades before us, but I started focusing on it, creating a system and support around it. I think like no one else has. Yeah. In 13, and then scaled it. And then I didn't get into the values and a leaf form and all that till probably beginning of 17. Right. So, it's not overnight.
Yeah. And you have a little bit of a unique situation with your associates too. I loved it. I think that's awesome that you do that. Do you mind sharing what your core values are with us?
Sure. I got them pinned to my wall and I have most of them memorized, but I don't want to mess up on your show.
Yeah, no.
So this is pretty cool. So we developed this. This is we call it, you'd appreciate this in real estate, the Kingdom Tower mission. The Kingdom Tower is going to be the tallest tower ever built. It's not even built yet. So it's a 5-year plan. We use that as our tracker, but our core values are 6: empowering individuals and families, constantly innovating and improving, completing all transactions with the highest integrity, matching effort for effort. That's simply if an associate is going aggressively hard, we're talking to them 3 times a day. This isn't about a one coaching call thing a week. Mm-hmm. But if they're going slower, fine. It's a game of tennis back and forth, matching effort for effort. Clear, blunt, to the point we mentioned, no gray area, and then team over me. Those are the 6.
Awesome.
And then the whole purpose of all this is to empower individuals and families. Now we happen to do that in real estate, but that's our goal, because as the family value system here, they're like family. We get together with them once a year. We don't have a ton of events. We have 1 a year, and the day before it, all the associates come in and we do a massive mastermind just with the associates, free, and it's quite a neat community.
That's awesome. It sounds like you got a pretty tight-knit community then. That's awesome.
Fun. Yeah.
No, absolutely. All right. So switching tracks a little bit here, we have talked a little bit about, your products and everything. And I think that a lot of them would be good for people that are just getting into real estate. So our audience is pretty mixed. We have a lot of people that listen to the podcast because they know us and that, they're already doing lots of deals. They already got their business streamlined and they're just focused on growing it now. But then we also come across a lot of people that are our audience that are newer into real estate. Either they're thinking about getting into real estate or they've done 1 or 2 deals or whatever, it's just a side off thing and maybe they have 1 rental or whatever, but they're really wanting to get into it. So we're actually partners with Think Realty, and Think Realty, a lot of their audience are newer real estate investors as well. So having said that, what is something that you recommend? And I've only asked this question one other time on our interviews, so I'm super interested to hear what you have to say. What is the first thing that you recommend to somebody if they want to dip their toes into the water of investing in real estate? And I know that the whole thing, because what we get a lot from people is that, they ask, what do I do? Do I wholesale? Do I fix and flip? Do I do buy and holds? whatever, turnkeys or whatever. And a lot of experienced real estate investors will tell you, well, it depends, like there's, how many ice cream flavors. It just depends on what flavor you want. But to me, I think that there's a bit of a more straightforward answer that you got to direct somebody. And it does depend on the market. But I mean, for you, what do you recommend for somebody that's just wanting to get into real estate? Maybe they've done 1 or 2 deals. Maybe they have one rental or whatever, but maybe they haven't even made that leap yet. They're just fishing around. I mean, what do you recommend for somebody like that?
Well, I'll give you kind of a 1, 2, 3, or however many it comes out as I say it, right?
Yeah.
I'm biased to our system, obviously, but here's what the fact is, to answer your question directly for the broader audience. Mm-hmm. One is a little bit about what you said, try not to be redundant, but a little bit about it is, okay, go listen to, there's enough stuff on YouTube and elsewhere now, right? You guys get a lot of great stuff. So there's enough stuff out there for someone to say, okay, I'm going to go look at someone that's doing deals in 2 or 3 different niches. Find out that fits your personality or your financial goals or your scaling life mission, whatever it is for you. In our case, it was trying to find cash now, continuous wealth, all at one, which isn't easy. Mm-hmm. Once they find that, then they have to do this, in my opinion, because success leaves clues. They got to find someone that was in the field. Is in the field doing deals, because real estate changes too quickly for you to be latched on to someone that did deals 2 years ago.
Right.
6 months ago, frankly.
Right.
Once you do that, then make sure your personality fits with them. I'm not so naive to say everyone's going to love my personality. I'm blunt, fast paced, and that might not fit people. So find someone in the niches that you can relate to. And then put the blinders on. Don't look left, right, or backwards, and do everything that they suggest.
Yeah, because there's so many things you can do in real estate.
And get in the shiny object, and I started this, but I heard this thought. No. Yeah. Once you latch on to someone you think you can relate to that's doing what you want to do, already did it and still doing it, then latch on to them. Now, here's what's going to probably annoy some people. This is not get rich quick, right? You know this. So this isn't, if your expectations are in one of those niches that it's going to be a get rich quick, you're 100% wrong in every one of those niches. You got to commit to this person, whoever it is you choose, for at least 12 months, which I think is even insanity, because if you start a business, usually it's 2-3 years. Yeah. At least 12 months. Don't take your foot off the gas pedal and don't look around. Just follow them blindly. I know that's broad, but that's what I would tell people to do, 100%.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're saying like stuff that happens on HGTV and like all these other shows, that's not really how it happens.
I cringe.
Yeah.
Cringe.
Yeah, that's awesome. So having said that, so the next question I have for you is something I am very excited about every time I get to ask it, because I was not really around when the 2008 crash happened. And there's been people that I've interviewed that have been and made it through. They're still thriving in their business. We have a good portion of our mastermind members that actually went through the crash and, surfaced and made it out alive. And not only just alive, but they thrived through it because they took advantage of the market changes. And I know it depends on the market too, because like our market, we're in Northwest Indiana. It didn't get hit super hard.
It's good.
People suffered, but it wasn't as bad as like the far like southeast coast and then the west coast, obviously, and that kind of thing.
Right.
So for you, tell us a little bit about your experience going through the crash, how you actually, maybe give the backstory of like what you were doing before the crash and then through it, and then how you actually survived through it. Because regardless of what we think or not, it seems like the common denominator is there's going to be another crash soon. I mean, I'd also like to hear your thoughts on that. Is, maybe not like an exact date of when the next crash can happen, but how it could happen. So tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, well, the last one's the easiest, so let me say that first.
Okay.
Because if you or I knew that, we'd be in the Caymans or wherever you like to travel. That's a no-brainer answer. But we'll come back to that. Yeah. So we were doing, time-wise, chronologically, what we talked about when you opened your show, we were doing a lot of buy multis, fairly inexpensively. I'll give you some numbers in a second, and then fix them up and condominiumize the building, break it into condos, and then sell them off. I was working great in that market. So example right here, that worked well for this type of community that I described earlier. And that was, buy a 3-family for high 2s, do the condominium docs for $5 or $6 grand, paint it, don't even go crazy, paint appliances, sell them off at like, $170 each all day long. Well,
and this is all up in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, it worked because people here will buy the smaller, I need a vacation place or something like that. Right. So we did those in Mass and Rhode Island. But what happened was when the crash took place, Josh, around here in opposed to Indiana, you had buildings. I had a 6-unit that we sold 3 units at 170, 172, like overnight. And then when the crash took place, within 90 days, I couldn't get 50 grand each for the next 3. And so that took the construction loan underwater, took the whole project underwater. So, so what happened was we didn't file bankruptcy, knock on wood. I didn't believe in it and still don't. And we got out of it better because of it. But it was a lot of pain. It was 23 or so properties, mixed use, residential, condominiums, that had to be either short saleed, some kind of a workout down the bank, or sold off somehow, or foreclosed. That was literally a full-time, if not a very part-time business from 08 February. I'll tell you exactly when I remember it started till about 2012. That's how much work that was. Well, wow. That's something I want to tell someone to go through. However, someone said on a show the other day, if you had to hit the reset button, what would you have done? I said, actually, nothing different. Because I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have re-engineered the business. I wouldn't have thought of the terms. So it's a valuable lesson. And I'll throw a cool book here that talks about this. Ray Dalio's book, Principles.
Yes.
Talks about almost not inviting that, but almost looking for, okay, here comes the curveball. What did I learn from it? Like, let's gain from that. So cool. So I don't know if that answered your questions. I might have got off track there.
No, absolutely. I love that. That's fantastic. So you talked about how you went through the crash and then you wouldn't change anything because it kind of sculpted and structured where you're at today. But if somebody were to get into real estate, so we've talked about, getting into real estate and people that want to, dip their toes in the water and that kind of thing. If there was one thing that you know now that you wish you knew back when you actually started, not the crash, like even further back than that, when you first started into real estate investing, what's the one thing that you wish you knew now, or that you know now that you wish you knew when you got first started into real estate?
So you sculptured that to make me stay away from that no reset button.
Exactly right.
Well, look, the bank thing is what caused me the headaches. Bank thing meaning signing personally.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so the lesson would be, to your question, I didn't realize how nasty the banks can be, quite frankly. And don't for one second think that they're not going to do that again. And I just see the writing on the wall with that. So do not sign personally on loans. There's absolutely no reason with the way you can build a real estate portfolio today. None. You don't have to be on it personally. Frankly, you don't have to use your own cash. We don't. We only do now from other profits coming in, but we don't use our own cash. Never did. So it's 2 small answers, but that bank thing's huge in my opinion. I'm probably going to offend people with it, but don't sign personally. You're killing yourself and your family.
That's super. It sounds like from other people that we talk to, and then also Tom says it a lot, that there's a lot more money out there than there is deals, especially in our market, because there's so many people that want that financial freedom. So they're willing to lend their money to actually, help you with your business and everything.
Agreed.
And that's all relationship driven. So yeah, that segues into the next thing I want to talk about with you that I didn't kind of bring about when we were emailing, but when it comes to actual it sounds like you have a lot of connections. It sounds like you value your network and value the relationships that you have. How important is it to actually have a good network and have good relationships when it comes to building your real estate business?
I think there's 2 levels to that. One is on the kind of the buying and selling in the trenches, buyer and seller thing, right?
Yeah.
So that's more based, forget legal for a second. That's more based morally and ethically, I think. Mm-hmm. Because when you do the right thing, that's a lot of deals we do still. So you get a lot of happy people, and it's the opposite if you screw up.
Yeah.
And that's short-lived if you do that. So it's super important. I think they develop organically, Josh, kind of like we did the business, kind of like you and I met. I'm big on, well, how did I meet that person and where did that go and where's it leading? It's kind of cool to just follow the energy. I think it's super important. Absolutely. What was the second part of that?
So the value of a relationship or relationships and value of a network when it comes to actually building your business.
Yeah. Okay. So I was on the right track. So it's huge. We don't go seeking private money, but with few exceptions. But you're right. That's all about just asking the right questions and then developing the relationships. And it's plentiful. You mentioned Quincy's networks. That's a phenomenal example. You're not going to run out of money if you have the right connections. And if you just have one connection, here's a thought, and you do one successful deal, that person will miraculously find a whole bunch of other funding, whether it's theirs or someone else's, and they'll instantly refer you to 5 or 10 people because people aren't getting 12, 15 and more % on their money out there the conventional way.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got a couple more questions and we're going to wrap it up. Just some really quick ones, and then we're going to get this rolling. But I thoroughly enjoyed this whole interview.
Oh, you guys do a great job. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun getting to know you a little bit more. So going back to, I know I keep like picking your brain, but I like the concept of you having your partners that are throughout the country, and I think that's fantastic because you're not just like teaching them, you're actually mentoring them, it sounds like. Is that an accurate statement to make?
Yeah, and it's good you brought that up. I forgot to add that piece. The reason is I get a lot of calls from people saying, I was in this coaching program and they limit me to this many calls, and I tried to get a deal done and I couldn't. And I just can't even imagine you getting into a coaching program and then telling someone 6 months later, let's be safe, a year later for some of them, and they didn't do a deal. I just don't, it doesn't even compute. So the big gap we fill, I think, Josh, is implementation. If you go to our event, we only do it yearly, as I said, and if you go to the event, there's 60%, maybe more this year, of the people in the room that are doing deals actively. That's more like a mastermind. That's not an open event, and this is an open event because we focus on getting deals done because of the way the program's structured. So as I said earlier, no, it's not just coaching. I have that, but one person a year joins it because they really want the hands-on, get me in the fire with you, talk to my people with me, let me hear you on the phone, the whole bit. It's just different.
So in that program, what is some of, like, maybe not some, but one of the biggest pitfalls that you find common throughout your partners there and the people across the country, no matter what market they're in? What's one of the biggest pitfalls that you see?
Like a challenge for them?
Yeah.
This is gonna sound too simple for you, but it's right here. It's between their ears. Some of this has to be developed, like the skill sets and the association. Say if you hang out with us for a weekend or you're on the phone, so okay, so some of that has to be developed because it's your confidence. Or you were beat up in 08 and you're dragging that with you. Well, all these issues are what we coach on. It's not just getting a deal done. We got to develop this first. So it's part of what we do. Just depends on where someone is. So believe it or not, we call it our top performers are called the high six, meaning high six figures. We have a private mastermind. We had it beginning of this month. And they all agreed, there was 9 of them there. They all agreed that no question, that is the biggest challenge. And the second one, I think, is false expectations. I alluded to it earlier, remember? Coming in and saying, I got to get a deal done the next 60 days or 30 days. That's the person we don't want. And go fix that first and come back to us and we'll help you scale.
Do you think that the expectation thing is kind of centered around them wanting to make money, or is it them having the genuine feeling of wanting to grow a real estate business? Like, do you think it's centered on money, or is it centered on actual like desire of using real estate as a vehicle to get to where they want to go?
No, good question. I love the latter. I love if someone has these big expectations of how fast of what they want to build and their wealth plan. That's great. I'm talking about the first thing, which was I need money tomorrow, and this is great. I got to get a deal. Look, I have a police officer in Pennsylvania who got a deal in 30 days. Perfect. I also have 2 of my top earners right now that took 6 months. Why? Anything to do with the system? Nope. It was all whatever they had going on in their head. Now they've passed it. So it's different for everyone.
That's awesome. So that's good to hear. So I love the mentorship part of that, because a lot of people, like, they go through these programs. I know that, not to call them out, but fortune builders, I mean, they put
I hear that a lot.
And they don't mentor you through it. It's right. Just like they give you the information, and then you, like, obviously it's discipline. It is mindset that you actually have to go and like make this stuff happen. But it's good to have an accountability with that. That's why masterminds are so important, though, is because you have that accountability behind you.
It's hugely important. I got to add this one thing. I won't take long on it. So there are 2, there might be more, but there's at least 2 of my associates who, before they met me, spent $100,000. One was 110, one was like 90 something on stuff.
Yeah.
Get this, no deals, 0. Yeah. Not even a flip, not even a wholesale. So one of them's wife said, you're not going to talk to this guy, meaning me. We put it in, and she laughs about it now because he's done almost $1 million in about 22 months with us. Okay, that's a big difference. So here's the lesson. If someone is listening and they spent 5, 10, whatever they spent, please don't equate that to what you can do. Treat it as a lesson, treat it as a backdrop. then find what you and I talked about earlier, the mentor that is going to be in the trenches doing deals. Don't let that net drag behind you. It's not an indication of what you can do.
Absolutely. I love that. That's awesome. So last thing I got here for the audience. So you guys listen up. It's been an awesome interview that we've had with Chris here. We're very excited about it. You guys check out the links below. We're going to have everything linked for Chris, his social profiles and also his websites, and then the book that he offered us for our listeners here. So make sure you guys take advantage of that. So Chris, you got to leave our audience with one thing. So whether it's a piece of advice, maybe it's a quote, a book that you like reading, doesn't matter what it is. What are you leaving our audience with? One thing.
How much time do I have? No, I'm only kidding.
You can go ahead.
Well, here's what I'd say. I just said this the other day on a podcast. Don't excuse your way out of huge, enormous success. Your market's not different. You're not different. You don't have limitations. Don't let any of those excuses. 98% of getting this stuff done is what I just said. Coincidental to your question is absolutely right here. So stop becoming an avid reader. Start latching onto the right people. And don't let excuses get in your way. They're just up here.
That's awesome. I love that. So you guys take that. Make sure you apply it. Chris, thank you so much for being on the podcast, man. We're going to get Tom on your podcast soon. So you guys look out for that. And then you guys make sure you give this video a big thumbs up, leave comments below, and then share this around. So Chris, thanks for being on. Hey, we'll have you back soon. I loved it.
I appreciate it. Love to do an encore.
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys, he's got some amazing stuff that's out there, some great products that he even talked about throughout the podcast. He's got a book called Real Estate on Your Terms that he's actually going to offer for us for free without cost, without shipping or anything. So Kevin's going to have that link below. We're going to get that link from Chris here. So you guys make sure you take advantage of that and then all the rest of the stuff that he has. Make sure you go follow him on all of his social profiles, and that'll be awesome. So that's going to wrap it up for today's episode, guys. Thank you so much for being on the live stream. If you were on the Facebook live stream, if you're not, make sure you guys check out our Facebook page at Your Good Success. And we go live on Facebook every single Friday at 12 noon Central Standard Time. So you guys check that out. Live stream is awesome. We always have some great interviews with these people. And then subscribe to our podcast if you haven't already. We're on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. If you guys are coming by way of knowing Chris and you guys don't know us, we thank you guys for listening in. And then check out the Community Go Giver event. CommunityGoGiver.com. Kevin's got it linked below. You guys go get your tickets now because it's coming in fast. We only got like a month left and we don't have very many seats available. We're selling out at 80 and we don't have 80 seats available right at this moment. So you guys make sure you sign up for that immediately. And then the Good Success Mastermind, or goodsuccess.com/mastermind. You guys go apply there. We don't just let anybody in. We do want people that are in there that have a good character, have great core values. And then we talked about core values with Chris and are actually going to fit in with us character-wise and they're givers and all that kind of stuff. So make sure you guys check it out, goodsuccess.com/mastermind. So that's going to do it for today's episode, guys. Thank you so much for listening in. And remember, whether you're looking to survive, thrive, or matter, our goal is to provide the tools to reach your vision. Thanks again for listening, and until next time.